All right, what's the very best place for you to live in Salt Lake City? In this video, I'm going to break down all the best places to live in and around downtown Salt Lake City. And listen, Salt Lake City offers a variety of neighborhoods. There's got to be something there for pretty much anybody. But in this video, I wanted to outline the very best places to live in Salt Lake City in 2024. And this is not talking about the suburbs outside of Salt Lake City. I'm only talking about Salt Lake City itself. So if you're looking to live in the city, this video's for you. And it's not just about the downtown area or the different places that are around downtown. There are so many more things to consider when you're looking to move into the city in Salt Lake City. And so let's kick it off. And if we haven't met yet, my name is Scott Steele, and I love helping people discover all things Utah, including Utah real estate. So if this is you, you're in the right place. And I would love nothing more than for you to drop a comment below and tell me where you're watching from, because it really helps me know where people are coming from, to whom I need to create better content and more videos for. So drop a comment below, tell me where you're from. And with that said, I would love to be your real estate resource of choice if you are looking to make that move. I've got a plethora of options and solutions, as well as guides and processes to help you make that move as smooth as possible. And with that said, let's kick this off. I've narrowed it down to 11 areas in the city, and the first place that I want to touch on is downtown Salt Lake City. Downtown Salt Lake City is active, it's lively, it's vibrant, it's growing, it's booming. Salt Lake City is one of the few downtowns in the country that has just absolutely exploded in popularity. Just in the last 3 years alone, this city has completely been transformed. So much redevelopment is happening, and up to 30 restaurants opening each and every month in the city itself. If you want a place to have really good dining really close by and be walkable to all the different things you want to check out, the city is amazing. If that's the lifestyle you're looking for, downtown is wonderful. You've got all the cultural scenes, you've got all of the opera, the symphony, you've got all the different events that come into town or concerts, you've got theater, you've got the Utah Jazz, you've got the University of Utah football games. You've got everything right there in the city, so it's really cool. And with really good accessibility, not only in walkability, but also with the light rail system in and around Salt Lake City, it makes for really easy getting around the city. And for that reason alone, I'm putting downtown Salt Lake City on this list. All right, next up on the list, this is one of the most coveted places to live in Salt Lake City, and that's the avenues. The avenues extend east of downtown Salt Lake City. So if you draw a line right at State Street or even Main Street and just go directly to the east, you can see the avenues just to the north of the city. And they basically traverse the mountainside that just lies just to the north of the city. These avenues are full of older Victorian style homes and different style homes where a lot of people are putting a lot of effort into renovating those properties and making them look absolutely amazing. And the home values in those areas have skyrocketed because people love living in those old neighborhoods right next to downtown Salt Lake City. And with being on that mountainside, not only do you get really cool, mature homes with mature tree-lined streets, but you get really amazing views of the city because a lot of those homes, especially as you climb up into those avenues, overlook the valley and create some amazing sunsets. You'll have some of the best views of the city if you live up in the upper avenues specifically. All right, next up on the list is Sugarhouse. Sugarhouse is one of the most popular and the hottest areas within the city to live. It sits just a little to the south and just a little bit to the east of downtown Salt Lake City, but Sugarhouse has been popular for decades, and I'm telling you, it's not slowing down. Every time I see properties pop up in Sugarhouse that are old, that maybe are dated and they need some work, those houses sell just like that. They sell so fast and they sell for such high amounts because people are really looking to move into Sugarhouse and they're willing to pay more to live there. And a lot of Sugarhouse has already been renovated. A lot of those older homes have been fixed up. And so it's kind of cool if you move into an older home in Sugarhouse and it is run down, you're probably getting a deal on it, and you'll know that any work and money and effort that you put into it will be rewarded because the home values in Sugarhouse have stayed true. They keep climbing as the years go on. And honestly, with the convenience factor playing into this as well, Sugarhouse is really convenient to not only get to the downtown area, but also up to the canyons. You're actually closer to the mountains than you would be if you live in downtown Salt Lake City. And it's really a cool vibe, really cool place to check out. So if you're coming to visit Utah, exploring different places to live, Sugarhouse should probably make your list. All right, next up, it's directly east of downtown Salt Lake City, and that is Federal Heights. Federal Heights is one of the greatest, finest, bigger home neighborhoods neighborhoods that you'll find around Salt Lake City. You'll see a lot of older properties, but these properties are super nice. They're bigger, they're more spacious. You have a little more space in between the properties, and it's a really prestigious place to live if you live in Federal Heights as well. I love Federal Heights. I know it's a small geographic area, but if you are looking for something that's really nice and on the bigger side, Federal Heights is the perfect place to be. All right, next up, it's the East Bench. The East Bench of Salt Lake City is super popular, not only because of its proximity to the city, but because it's even closer to the mountains. So when we talk about the bench in Salt Lake City, what it really means is that you're on the bench or the lower portion of the mountain. And so when we talk about the bench, that means you're right up against the mountains, and the recreational opportunities are right in your backyard, literally. So for example, if you live in Olympus Cove, Millcreek Canyon is right there in your backyard, as is Immigration Canyon. There are so many canyons that you can go hiking up. Neff's Canyon, Parley's Canyon's just a little bit to the south, but City Creek and all of these other canyons are right there next to the city. And living on the East Bench not only gives you greater access to those canyons, but it also, just like living anywhere else on the avenues, you have really great views of the entire valley. So as you sit up there in your property, you're kind of looking over the entire valley, and it really gives you some really good perspective, especially those summer sunsets. All right, next up on the list is my personal favorite neighborhood in all of Salt Lake City, and that's the Harvard-Yale area. The Harvard-Yale neighborhood sits just a little to the south and southeast of the downtown area. Harvard-Yale is lined with really old trees. These trees are massive, the streets are narrow, but the homes are uniquely different. Every single home and every single property is its own unique design, and I love these old homes in this area. This is one of the more expensive places to buy and to live in all of Salt Lake City, but it is my absolute favorite place to go. If I have a chance to view any property in the Harvard-Yale area that's really been renovated, I'm definitely on board. I love checking out those properties. And this area is really appealing for the professionals that want to be really close to the city, but they don't want those little tiny homes that you might find in other areas like Liberty Wells or maybe even in Sugarhouse. All right, next up on the list, this is the most affordable of all the areas that I'm talking about, and that's Rose Park. Rose Park, my entire life as someone who's grown up here, has been considered a really like lower tier place to live because it is on the west side of the city, but Rose Park is making a big comeback, and the developments that have happened in and around Rose Park are transforming what Rose Park is. And I'm convinced that in 20 or 30 years from now, Rose Park will not even resemble the image that many people had of 20 years ago, because Rose Park does have something incredibly advantageous that most areas do not, and that is the proximity to the airport, the proximity to downtown, and all of the different amenities that are close by. So Rose Park is on the rise. In fact, in recent years, as home values have really skyrocketed throughout the state of Utah, it's areas just like and including Rose Park that have seen the greatest amount of appreciation out of any zip codes throughout the entire state. All right, next up, moving south down through the city, we're going into Millcreek. Millcreek is just south of Sugarhouse and sits to the east side of the valley. It's a really cool spot to have access to both Millcreek Canyon as well as all the different amenities that the city provides in and around Sugarhouse as well as downtown. And of course, you're close enough to have all of the access to the freeways, both on 215 as well as Interstate 80 and I-15 to the west. So Millcreek has become one of the most popular places, and because it's more affordable than the avenues and more affordable than the Harvard-Yale area, it's really appreciating, and a lot of homes in Millcreek, despite the fact that they're a little older, have been being renovated over the last 10, 20, 30 years. So this area is not just up and coming, it's already here. This is a really popular place to live, and if you invest in purchasing a home in Millcreek, you will absolutely see a return on that investment. All right, next up on the list is precisely where I'm sitting right now here in my office and my studio, and that's Cottonwood Heights. I love Cottonwood Heights. I actually love having an office here, and where I'm located right now, I'm sitting right where the bend in I-215 comes down at the south end of the city, and this location is so ideal because you can hop on the freeway and be right over to Parley's Canyon and shoot up to Park City within just a matter of a couple of minutes, or you can go all the way into Sugarhouse and downtown Salt Lake City. But more importantly, this adds another layer of accessibility that the other cities that I've previously mentioned don't have at the same level, and that is access to the Cottonwood Canyons. Right here in Cottonwood Heights, we can just take a couple of minutes just right up the street and be at Big Cottonwood Canyon or even Little Cottonwood Canyon and be at the 4 ski resorts that get more snow in this state or in North America than just about anywhere else. We can be at Alta and Snowbird Harvard up Little Cottonwood Canyons, or we can be up at Solitude or Brighton up Big Cottonwood Canyon as well. I love Cottonwood Heights, and I actually love the fact that even though the homes here are a little bit older, they're not as old as the Avenues homes or the Harvard-Yale area. A lot of homes here have been seeing renovations come, and it's typically the case no matter where you live in Salt Lake County or along the Wasatch Front. The closer you are up against the mountains, which Cottonwood Heights is tucked right up against the mountains on the Wasatch Bench, the closer you are to those mountains, the more desirable those properties become, and the more willing that investors or even homeowners are willing to purchase real estate and invest money to restore or renovate or expand or extend their value of those properties. All right, next up on the list is just south of downtown Salt Lake City, and that is Liberty Wells. As I drive through Liberty Wells, it's full of homes that are a little bit older. They're typically built in the 40s or 50s. Some of them are built in the 30s and 40s, but as I drive through the areas of Liberty Wells, I really love the vibe, the older homes. Most of these homes are kind of a bungalow style or even a Tudor style home. These homes are beautiful, and as the city has progressed, these homes have become more and more desirable. And it's in these parts of the city that I think that this opportunity of restoring homes has really taken off, because I see a lot of it taking place, and the home values have skyrocketed in places like Liberty Wells, just like they have up in Rose Park, because those areas are so incredibly nice now. All right, last up on the list, this is the one that is not right there in the city itself, and I'm going to talk about the place where I live, and that's Daybreak. Daybreak is about 25 minutes from downtown Salt Lake City, maybe 30 minutes if traffic is a little heavier, but Daybreak is a really massive attraction for people that want access to Salt Lake City without being inside the city itself. I love Daybreak because Daybreak is one of the first places in Utah that I'm noticing they're actually purposefully developing its own downtown area. And so rather than just being a sprawling suburb of Salt Lake City, Daybreak is actually being very intentional about creating its own unique downtown area, which will provide office space as well as many restaurants and jobs and the new baseball stadium that's coming. So as that downtown Daybreak gets built out, that vision of what Daybreak was 17 years ago, and it's coming into fruition. And as I've lived there for 8 years now, it is a phenomenal place to live. You still have easy access both through light rail systems, in public transportation, or driving up into the city. And although it doesn't have as great access to the outdoors as many of these other neighborhoods that I've mentioned, it's worth mentioning in the same conversation because I'm noticing that the majority of people that are moving here from out of state are not moving to these neighborhoods in Salt Lake City because they can go to places like Daybreak where everything's new and they can get a lot more for their money. So I wanted to make sure that I touched on that here in this video as well. And if you're considering making that move to Utah, I would love to be your real estate resource of choice. So drop me a comment and reach out to me. You can find my contact information in the description below or in the pinned comment of this and every video. And if you want to learn more about life in Utah, check out this playlist. And until next time, thanks guys.